Chapter 5 of the book of Mark has a lot of action in it. And the story starts off with this man who was so possessed with demons that the demons referred to themselves as being legion, which says there are many of us. And we said, well, Pastor, how many were there? And it doesn't really say, except the fact that it says that Jesus cast them into a herd of swine that ran down the hill into the sea and were choked to death. And it said there was 2,000 pigs who ran down that hill and were destroyed. And so we can only speculate from that. But nevertheless, there were a lot of devils possessed in that man who came running to Jesus as he got off the ship. And he recognized, and I'm saying that these spirits recognized who Jesus was. And Jesus rebuked them. And that began the dialogue. And he said, what is your name? And they said, we are legion. We are many of us. But Jesus cast those devils out of that man. Now, this is what I find to be fascinating about this. He said, well, Pastor King, what happened to the man once these devils were cast out of him? Well, the first thing that happened, he said he became in his right mind. And he put on clothes for the first time for who knows when. And he wanted to follow Jesus as Jesus was departing to get aboard the ship to leave the area. He wanted to go with them. And this is when Jesus said, he says, no, you go back to your family and your friends. Go back and resume the life that you had before. And I find that to be quite interesting to say, here was a man who had a life. He was living his life. He had friends, he had family. And then something happened. We don't know what, but something happened that caused a change in him that opened himself up for the possession of these devils, which speaks so clearly to all of us. It said, when somebody finds themselves addicted to something or bound by something, it started somewhere along the line. There was a behavior that took place that caused us the process to begin that would eventually bring the destruction that the devil always brings when he's allowed to have control. But this is what really fascinates me. You say, well, what happened to this man? He went into the ministry. You say, well, Pastor, what are you talking about here? Read it. In the book of Mark, it says that he began to share the gospel wherever he was. We're over in the book of Luke. Luke puts it this way. He says, and he published the news all across the land. He became a person who became very evangelistic to share the message of the gospel and what God had done for him. Now, does that not speak to us all? This is Pastor Jack King with the Gospel on the Radio Broadcast.